Welcome to the Pearson Test of English, also known as PTE. This is the writing session. In this particular session, I shall be taking you through essay writing, and the topic or the kind of essay that I shall be addressing is agree or disagree type of essay. But first, let us look at the most important factors that determine how well you've written. This can be summed up in the criteria. The first criteria is content. For this, you have to make sure that whatever you write is relevant to the topic given. The highest marks that you can score for this is 3. The next criteria is form, which basically looks at the organization and the layout of the essay. You are allotted 2 marks for this. The next criteria is development, structure and coherence. 3 components that are extremely important for you to address your topic in a very structured manner. This will enable the examiner to understand what you are trying to say, whether the words you are using and how you are connecting those words to bring out the meaning of the essay. Most importantly, this will determine what kind of message you are trying to portray. The next criteria is extremely important, that is grammar. This consists of everything from tenses to articles, prepositions, nouns, pronouns, adjectives, etc. Most importantly, you must make sure that your sentence structures are correct. You must use a combination of simple as well as complex sentences. The next criteria is general linguistic range. This basically checks the extent to which you can utilize language to properly express or put across the message your essay is trying to give. The next criteria is spelling. In essay writing, in fact in any kind of writing, spelling is extremely important. Incorrect spellings will definitely affect your overall score. You will definitely lose marks. Finally, vocabulary range. This determines the level at which you stand in terms of vocabulary. Your vocabulary could either be simple or it could be complex. But what is more important here is that the vocabulary should fit the kind of task or topic given to you. So except for content, all other criteria have got 2 marks each. So here is a description of the essay and the basic features. Firstly, you will notice that the length requirement is between 200 to 300 words. Remember that development, structure and coherence is extremely important, as this basically checks how you organize your ideas. You must precisely convey your ideas using correct grammar, vocabulary and spelling. Now, here are a few things that you must bear in mind when it comes to evaluation and the possibility of getting a 0 under certain conditions. So the essay is not evaluated and given a 0 right away if the response is totally irrelevant to the prompt. This basically means that you have not understood the topic and you have completely digressed from what was originally asked. The next point is the response is written in any language other than English. If you think that you can put in another language or there are certain words that are easier to write, whatever you write must be explained further, otherwise it will not be counted. The response is written in capital letters. You must use the sentence case while typing onto the screen. And finally, no response given. If you omit the entire essay, you will receive 0. Now let's look at the plan of the essay. First, brainstorming. This is the most important part of the essay. Any PTE trainer will tell you this. If you don't know what to write, then you will never understand how to go about doing it. So first and foremost, the moment you see your topic on screen, use your erasable notebook booklet, or if you're practicing, use a rough notebook to immediately start brainstorming. That basically means generating ideas. Pick out important words or keywords from the topic given, list them down, then see how you can give proper reasons or justification. Think of examples. Identify once again other keywords if you feel that you are not getting enough to brainstorm. Next, structure the paragraphs. When you're structuring your paragraph, you must think which point you're going to start with, which point you're going to end with, what kind of examples you're going to use, because examples are a must. You must give at least one example for one reason or justification. Now the next important bit, write in paragraphs. You will be given 4 to 5 paragraphs. All of them are supposed to have individual ideas which are connected with the help of proper conjunctions and linking phrases. This will basically determine the coherence. Once you're done, make sure you are coherent. Do not go off topic. This is extremely important. If you go off topic, or if you start with one particular keyword or phrase and then you start only explaining about that without actually connecting that to the other ideas, you will lose out on your scores. The other thing is, don't give too many examples. Examples are separate. Reasons and justifications are separate. You don't combine the two. Most of the time, students put examples as a reason or justification without really elaborating much. It will not really give you a score. Again, the most important bit, do not repeat or rephrase any argument. The moment you do this, it basically means that you do not have enough content, you have not done your brainstorming properly, and there is nothing new about it. So you will lose out again on your development, coherence and structure of the essay. Now here is a sample essay question. Your instruction is already given. It says you will have 20 minutes to plan, write and revise an essay about a topic given below. Your response will be judged on how well you develop a position, organize your ideas, present supporting details, and the standard elements of standard written English. You should write 200 to 300 words. Now here is the essay prompt. Some people believe that capital punishment is good for the country. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Let's look at paragraph 1, which is your introduction. The introduction ideally consists of a background statement that is taken from the topic given to you. In addition to that, you also have to add a thesis statement and a transitional sentence. In some cases, they can be combined. In some cases, you can write them separately. Let's look at the first sentence. Your background statement says, quite a few people are of the belief that capital punishment can really improve the country. I completely agree with this opinion, as the death penalty can positively impact a country through lowering both crime and tax rates. I completely agree with this ideology. I shall elaborate this in the following paragraphs. As you can see, the writer has taken the keywords and phrases. Here, the writer has stressed upon the belief of capital punishment that actually talks about improving the country. The writer has also taken a stand, which basically means taking one particular side, and further has explained that he or she will be elaborating. Now let's look at paragraph 2 and the structure. You've got your first supporting argument here. You will begin with the topic sentence, then go on to give an explanation, and furthermore justify with an example. Your topic sentence here is as follows. It covers the basic idea, so make sure you know what the keywords and phrases are. As mentioned earlier, ensure that when you are brainstorming, you take down the keywords and phrases from the topic itself. As you notice here, words death penalty and how it could effectively decrease crime rates in society has been mentioned. So this is your first explanation, your supporting argument, where the writer is basically saying that it's a must. Now, further on, you have to elaborate, and in this case, the writer says that death penalty is basically a brutal reminder. Now, look at how the writer has used words here. If you are going for a simpler version, you could say something like death penalty is basically when criminal actions or when criminals are given punishment in some countries either by the electric chair or in some other countries by hanging. But what you are focusing on here is that it should be established and why. So your explanation is the why bit. Why? A brutal reminder that criminal actions have severe consequences. So we're talking about a certain action and what it results in. Okay, and what does it result in? This particular action will serve as an effective deterrent to serious crime. Now, if you want to write it a bit simpler, you could say that it will result in crime that is, or it will result in crimes being avoided. But if you want to get a better score, especially in terms of vocabulary, you could say deterrent, which basically means a discouragement to people who even think about such a crime. Now let us look at the next bit, example. You can give examples from your personal life experiences if you have any, just word them properly. If you don't, think of the closest example that you have seen or observed in the newspapers or read about in any particular magazine or story, etc. In this case, the writer has spoken about or written about the conviction and execution of the rape accused in the Nirbhaya case that shook India on the night of December 16, 2012. And this serves as an example of proper justice. As you can see, he has further elaborated and added another line here. You can always do that as long as you're within your boundaries of the word limit. The hope is that people would think twice before committing a crime like this again. Once again, summing up the whole purpose of this paragraph. And that is that establishing death penalty is important and could make a difference. Now let us look at paragraph 3, structure. Here is your second supporting argument. Again, you've got your topic sentence, explanation and example. In this particular topic sentence, the writer is talking about the second supporting argument, why he or she believes that this could actually work. I have often suggested this, especially when I'm teaching, that whenever you're caught or you cannot generate ideas, think about certain aspects, and those aspects are basically think in terms of social, economical and political. These three are standard areas where you can basically cover almost any topic. And if you give it a bit of twist and if you think from that perspective, you could actually come up with many points. So what you can do is pick up this particular aspect. Now in here, the topic sentence says that in addition to this, the death penalty could lower the taxes for citizens. This is your second point. But you just cannot write this particular sentence and stop. How will it lower and what are its effects? That is explained in your next particular part, and that is, with this policy, the government would be able to spend less money on keeping the criminal in prison. The death sentence, however inhuman it may seem, would reduce the cost of imprisonment substantially. Now, this is how the writer has explained further. What happens with the policy? What is the result of implementing that particular policy. That policy was to reduce and try and reduce the taxes on the citizens. You can further give an example and say that as per the prison statistics of National Crime Records Bureau, if you remember such details, go ahead, write them. If you don't, you can write simpler details where you have observed some particular story on criminals and taxes on television, or you have read about it in a particular magazine or newspaper. You're going to give a certain level of statistics, don't have to go too much into the details, but enough just to substantiate or justify your reasoning. In this case, it says the expenditure per inmate has increased by over 50% in the past 5 years between 2010 to 11 and 2014 to 15. Finally, we come to paragraph 4, which is your conclusion. The conclusion should summarize the information, tie up all the ends to one particular aim and goal, and that is of delivering the message of your entire argument correctly. You could also make a suggestion or prediction over here. As it says in this case, to put it bluntly, I agree with capital punishment as a benefit to countries whose citizens are burdened with taxes. A society free from criminals is a better society, therefore this form of punishment should be implemented. So the word should be implemented again indicates a suggestion or prediction. In this case, more of a suggestion. Now here are some essays that you could practice. The first one is everyone should stay in school and complete their education until they attain the age of 18. Do you agree or disagree? Support your answer citing valid arguments. The next, it is argued that getting married before finishing school or getting a job is not a good choice. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Let us look at some strategies to do the essay writing correctly. You can use this in your essay practice. First, analyze the task thoroughly. Identify the keywords. This again will be found in your topic itself. Write them down. Try to brainstorm. A certain specific aspects of the topic. There might be certain topics where you are asked to only give a certain type of opinion, so be very careful. Understand the prompt very clearly. To do the brainstorming and to generate ideas and develop your structure, you can use the erasable noteboard booklet. You can make notes here. You can outline those notes and you can use those outline notes to actually present your thoughts and ideas. Make sure that when you are writing down your thoughts and ideas, you are also including relevant examples so that when you are typing the actual task, you don't actually look or think and waste time as to what example would be perfect for any particular point that you've given. Most importantly, ensure that you are covering all aspects of the question. Your essay should be properly organized. By organization, I mean proper paragraphing structure. Under each paragraph, the kind of sentences that are to be used, and make sure that those sentences are properly connected to each other. Once the 20 minutes are up, the screen will stop responding. So make sure that you keep your eye on the time. Timing is very important in PTE. There are often some common errors that students make while doing the essay writing, and they are: 1. Not understanding the topic. Now, as I mentioned earlier, break down your topic completely, take down points. If you don't do that, you will completely go off topic. Sometimes students pick up one particular word and just harp on and on about that particular idea and forget about the rest. You will lose your points in structure and coherence. Next, not being able to identify or elaborate ideas. At times, students get stuck on one particular idea and they don't know how this idea is prevalent in other aspects or scenarios, and therefore they get stuck and they cannot move ahead. Next, at times in their enthusiasm to prove their point, students often use irrelevant points and examples, and that again will cause you to lose your score. You must never use casual or informal language in the essay writing test, any essay writing test, and more so in the PTE essay writing test. Language like hey, hi, what's up, these kind of words must be completely avoided. Next, using incorrect grammatical structures. This basically means not writing proper sentences and most importantly not following the subject plus verb agreement. Next, making spelling errors. This is the most common error. Even the best of people sometimes falter. It could be something very simple as THEIR being written as THIER, or receive and receive. Simple words where it is easily interchangeable. So make sure that this particular thing is not there. Using incorrect punctuation. Some students tend to use hyphens or semicolons without thinking. So that will again pose another problem. That is a major grammatical error that you must avoid. Writing abbreviations or contracted forms. This again is an issue. If you write GOVT dot instead of the whole word government, you will be penalized. If you write can't, CAN apostrophe T, instead of writing cannot or don't, these words are contracted forms of words. If you write them, you will definitely be penalized. You will lose scores. Again, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of grammatical structures, not maintaining the subject-verb agreement. For example, he like me instead of saying he likes me. Or she go there instead of saying she goes there. These are minor errors when you're listening, but actually they are major errors when it comes to scoring. Also, not using proper coordinating conjunctions or linking phrases to connect ideas. A lot of times and goes missing, or however, although, but. These are all coordinating conjunctions and linking phrases that connect your sentences and bring out the proper meaning, whether it is a contrasting meaning or it is a meaning that indicates including ideas. These are some basic things and basic areas where you can lose scores of marks, and these are some common errors that students must definitely correct. Now here are some tips that you can use while doing the preparation for the test. And they are: number one, build your vocabulary. Writing is all about grammar and vocabulary. If you manage to sharpen those skills, then you can write on any topic under the sun. Next, like I said, hone your grammar skills. This means everything from tenses to articles, prepositions, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, everything must be in the correct form. Third and very important, master the sentence formation. Again, students often tend to write or miss out on simple words or coordinating conjunctions and things like that. And is gone missing, or the or is gone missing. That affects the entire sentence formation. So work on your sentence formation and structure. In order to write better and remember better, in case you get any kind of topic, in case you're not familiar, it's always good to identify some functional words and phrases used on a regular basis and learn them up. Every time you write, see how you can include them in your writing. Next, read. Read voraciously. Read books, read magazines, read newspapers. All of these things will definitely enhance your vocabulary. You can always start off with short novels or short stories, or pick up something that is within your comfort zone and start to expand. Pick out words and phrases from there, take a note of them, check the dictionary, see in what context they are used. Practice verbs, tenses, adjectives, prepositions, pronouns and conjunctions. These are very common and very basic grammar requirements, and often people falter if they miss out on any one of them. Practice linking phrases that denote how to introduce or conclude an idea, like I would like to begin with, or in conclusion. Introduce or begin an idea. Next, highlight differences or similarities. Here you can talk about similarly, or use words like that, similarly. If you're highlighting any differences, you could say in contrast or opposite to what has been said, or as opposed to. If you're talking about a continuity or change in a topic, again, continuity, you could say that eventually, gradually, further. If you're talking about a change, then you can mention phrases like there was a transformation, or a slight change was detected, or there was a noticeable improvement. These kind of words and phrases will definitely give you an edge in terms of vocabulary. Next, practice within the word and time limit. PT is completely timed, especially essay writing. In 20 minutes, you have to do so much. So make sure you practice within the word and time limit. You can always start off by writing on topics that you feel comfortable with, but then gradually expand to different subjects because you never know what is coming for the test. When doing so, again, make sure you use correct punctuation and spelling. Learn the usage of full stops, exclamation marks, question marks, especially colon, semicolon, hyphen, etc. Students are often found using ellipses. Ellipses are nothing but 3 dots that you put. That indicates that there's something else that comes after that particular sentence. But if you do that in the middle of the test, this will affect your entire presentation. So be very careful. Once more, practice writing with coherence. That is basically connecting your ideas properly, and ensure that you conclude properly. A good essay always begins with a good introduction and ends with a good conclusion. That is the end of this particular explanation. All the best with your essay practice.